The NBA has never seen this before, as we just witnessed an incredible performance from a veteran player on the Boston Celtics, as Al Horford brought back and turned back that clock for this Celtics team in a dominant game where he put up some stats that you'll never see from a 38-year-old player, specifically when the Celtics have some doubts with injuries, with some players not getting up into the rotations. They have a key guy in Horford come through and deliver when it matters most. So we're going to dive in and look at the crazy plays that Al Horford did, the accolades that he accomplished in today's performance, and much more. All of this on this episode of Celtics Digest. I'm Bruce Velez. I'm with my co-host Patrick. And Patrick, we just saw a thrilling game from one of the league's best veterans and stay ready guys.
Al Horford is an animal. This guy has constantly stepped up in playoff games night after night and stepped up and just been that guy for the Celtics when they need someone at the most. Not shooting the ball the best, but here he comes on defense, flying out of nowhere, stopping all the stars like he always does in the playoffs. This guy has constantly stepped up and he's done everything for the Celtics, especially to get this win tonight.
100%. I completely agree. I think he is well deserving of all of this credit. And let's dive into it, Patrick. Let's give him that credit that he deserves, as this was a wild game that we saw to play and a wild performance as well, like we mentioned, from someone that is a little bit on that older spectrum of the scale of age compared to the NBA. But man, oh man, was he playing like vintage Al Horford. We saw in tonight's performance the Celtics win 107-98, but Al Horford was that guy. 2 for 7 from the field, not the greatest shooting night like you mentioned, but 6 rebounds, 2 assists, and 5 blocks, being that defensive menace for this Celtics team down low. We also mentioned with Al Horford here, when looking at him, that he had 5 blocks, like we mentioned, which not only is one of the best performances that we see out of a vintage guy, but is tied with only one other great in Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So Patrick, when you see the stat line, what does that make you think and scream about Horford in today's game?
That he should be in the GOAT conversation? Maybe. I mean, hang his jersey in the rafters for the Celtics, that's for sure. But I mean, he has constantly stepped up and been that star stopper. That's what we like to call him, especially in the
Yes.
playoffs with all of these matchups that he's constantly had. He's guarding Paulo Banchero also, and he's playing great defense. And he was able to have that vintage block as if he was LeBron James in the playoffs against the Warriors, flying out of absolutely nowhere. I don't know where this spree of athleticism came from, but it was out of nowhere, and he just sprung it from half of the court out of nowhere. And when Al Horford is fired up, this whole team gets fired up and they surround around him. He is a leader in this locker room. Obviously, Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown are that way, but they look up to Al Horford as somewhat of a father figure as well. So when he gets fired up, when he gets pissed off and he's talking smack to the Magic and he's really putting his foot down, these guys follow behind him. And that's a reason why that the Celtics get things done, especially tonight.
Exactly. And you mentioned them kind of following behind Al Horford, you know what I mean? Looking him as that veteran leader. And you saw that this series has been scrappy. It's been physical. There have been some diabolical, some beef, some technical fouls thrown here and there. Al Horford getting into a little bit of tussles, especially tonight with KCP when Wendell Carter had that little bit of a hip check on Derrick White, being his protector, saying, no, 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 that's not going to happen, getting into those confrontations. And that's what you love out of valuable teammate. But not only just that, Patrick, was he able to do that, but Horford moved 15th into the all-time playoff block list, passing Pau Gasol. Once again, an all-time great big, but that just goes to show you, maybe Al Horford doesn't have the most glamorous resume across the NBA with the championships, the all-star appearances, stuff like that. But he is a grizzled veteran, has fought his way on the teams that he has been impactful for, and he's shown it throughout his entire career, still at this point as well.
Bruce, he ages like fine wine. He's
Mm-hmm.
constantly playing better as he gets older. It's unbelievable. He's changed his game, turned himself into a lethal shooter and a very reliable one for the Celtics at points, but also being able to be that number one defender as well against a tough
Yes.
matchup. He's not
Yes.
afraid for it. And it also gives him slack off for other guys like Tatum and Brown to kind of get some energy back on offense and go down there and do their thing. But he has done a lot of things that don't show up in the stat sheet. And he's just unbelievable. And he is a huge reason why the Celtics got it done tonight. And we can't thank Al Horford enough. And I'm excited for game 5 too, because he's going to have that same fiery mentality.
100%. You know that his family also gets involved as well. As his dad, Tito Horford's always impactful at the game, screaming. His son, Ian, is also always having a great time as well. So you know that energy with Al Horford's going to be coming from Orlando to that home crowd with those fans back in the TD Garden with his family. And he is going to be pumped up living to it. And you mentioned the defense, the identity that he brings for this Celtics team as that defensive stopper. He is really key. And you also mentioned there's stuff that he does that doesn't really show up on the stats on that defensive side in these key high marking plays. And Joe Mazzulla had some words to say that as well, as he mentioned that there should be a separate stat sheet for guys like him, as he applauded Horford with his 5 block, 6 rebound game, where his impact for Boston was very monumental in this game, like you had mentioned. And it is key that these players, these stay ready guys, even though Al Horford isn't one of those, end of the bench stay ready guys, he's still a stay ready guy for depending when the Celtics need him to step up in the starting lineup. And with Jrue Holiday being out these last couple games, Al Horford has been clear and been delivering for the Celtics in those moments.
Yeah, it took a little bit for the offense to kind of get going, but Al Horford doesn't let that stop him from doing things on the other side of the court and helping that lead kind of stay afloat because that game was very close all throughout. And it felt like the Magic were going to be able to get right over the hump, but they weren't able to. And it's because of guys like Al Horford on the defensive end being able to stop them from scoring and keeping that 2 point lead, 3 point lead, 4 point lead. It was just in that little window. And then finally at the end, the offense started to come together and the defense stick to its plan. And they were still as fiery. And that's how they come up with the win, Bruce. I mean, just games like that, a gritty game 4, you're up 2-1 on the road. The Magic fans are fired up. The whole game is fired up. These guys are going to get into a fight in game 5, 110%. I see it coming. It's been brewing. But a game like that with a guy like that playing like he played, I mean, he deserves his own award tonight. I mean, the Tommy points tonight for him.
100%. You gotta tip your cap to Al Horford. You mentioned once again the defensive versatility. He had that LeBron-esque type James block tonight. I said on Twitter he kind of embodied that Superman ability from the bigs of Dwight Howard and Shaquille O'Neal, who had played originally in Orlando. Felt that aura in that building tonight and really took over with it for the Boston Celtics. You mentioned him being key defensively, but the Celtics had some other players that stepped up offensively as well. Patrick, we want to dive into that. Derrick White was one of those key guys. Hit some big shots for the Celtics late in the game. Had that also great defensive play 1-on-4, which really led the Celtics to get that little bit of a string comeback in the end of the first half, which definitely swung the momentum in their favor going into halftime.
Yeah, we talk about this a lot. He's not afraid to go up and get a block. It was a 104 fast break right before the half. He's not afraid to get put on a highlight, Bruce. We know that he's
Mm-hmm.
an impressive player, one of the best shot blocking guards in the NBA, and one of the best that we've ever seen defensively when it comes to blocks and steals. He's just a stock maniac, and he's just not afraid to kind of put his body on the line. And that's players like that, just like Al Horford. Derrick White's the same exact way. He's putting his body on the line. He doesn't care about any highlights. He doesn't care if he's going to get embarrassed. But then when you don't get embarrassed, he's making a huge play like he just did. So then he gets the credit for it. So you can't kind of see the negative in that, but only positives from Derrick White, able to hit some big threes as well. A couple open ones that he should have hit that I'm always expecting to go in, but the Celtics haven't been shooting the three too well. But another great game from Derrick White. He's constantly stepping up for this team.
One thing for Derrick White is he always takes that risk for the Celtics team, regardless what it is. On the offensive side, taking a tough shot late in the shot clock, or defensively, taking a 1-on-4. And sometimes he is rewarded. Sometimes he is, gifted the loses in the favor. But to that play, he was definitely rewarded. And Patrick, another key impact player for the Celtics here offensively was Jayson Tatum, as he absolutely took over 37 points once again, 14 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 steals. We see from this tweet that he's the first player ever in playoff history with 35 points, 12 free throws, shooting 100% from the free throw in back-to-back games. He notched 14 points and 3 steals tonight, but 36, 37, coming back from a wrist injury, something that limited him in game 2, is absolutely crazy to see with his shooting ability with this Celtics squad. As even though he didn't shoot the rest from three-point range, only shooting 30%, the threes he did make were very valuable.
Yeah, I mean, the free throws is huge, Bruce. Like we talked about
Yep.
right before this video, Tatum sometimes he gets to the line and he does miss some free throws, but in a game like this that it's been so tight and back and forth in this series, a big game like this, he really put his foot on the line and really just stepped up into the moment like the player that he is, a superstar player. And like we said, that wrist injury, it's not stopping him from shooting the threes. He's got the new three celly holding the wrist.
Yes.
That's the type of energy that you want. You see from a lot of these teams, especially in the playoffs, kind of just getting that hype up. You love to see them get all fired up. That's why I love what they're doing, getting all aggressive, talking smack back to the bench for the Magic, and just kind of making up kind of celebrations like that, kind of just getting like the celebration type of vibe. I can't find the word in my head, Bruce, but you know what I mean. I love it because they're gonna make it an excuse for Tatum for not playing well, and here he is playing well with a wrist injury, and
Yep.
he's still doing his thing. And I mean, man, he's just unbelievable.
Well, you said it perfectly. I think the roars, if Tatum hadn't played this good coming out of the wrist injury, would have been a lot more alarming, not just from Celtics fans, but outside noise as well. People critiquing, obviously hating on Tatum as we've seen throughout his entire career and even in last year's playoff series. But obviously he's been able to bounce back from that, obviously avoid all that noise with these two great performances. And the Celtics, luckily, were able to get one of those, being those road dogs that we saw. Patrick, we also saw from this game some other players that stepped up for the Boston Celtics here. Jaylen Brown played some solid defense. I liked him late on Paolo Banchero. I saw that was a little bit of a different thing that they ran compared to the previous games with him on Franz Wagner, and I really liked that. So Jayson Tatum could obviously get more involved offensively, as we had seen he'd been doing better than Brown. Porzingis was better in this game. Obviously had some struggles for the Boston Celtics, but had some really good stints and also had that great putback dunk for the team. Was in some foul trouble. Team still clearly missing Jrue Holiday and didn't really have the greatest bench production here tonight besides some Sam Howard sort of threes. But Patrick, what would be your take from the rest of the guys here for the Boston Celtics on this game?
I mean, I got to keep touching on it. Jaylen Brown. I mean, he's moving really, really well. I mean, whatever they did when they had that week off or so, he's looked like a total different player than we saw right when the season. I'm like totally blown away. Honestly, the way that he's moving, he's going up for dunks again. Like total different player than what we're seeing. And I want to see the player that he was in the second half today more than the first half because he was not able to kind of get hot and get his shots in the first half. But second half, he really turned it on both sides of the floor. And I think just Porzingis was really just in foul trouble all game, so it's really tough to kind of get things going when you're always worried about not trying to foul somebody. But things are going to come together. If someone's not playing too well, everyone else is going to step up, and we saw that with Al Horford on the defensive end and Jayson Tatum on the offensive end.
I completely agree, and I'm glad to see the Celtics team, like we mentioned, going up 3-1 in this series, heading back to Boston. It's gonna get feisty, it's gonna get physical as we head back for Tuesday's matchup. But hopefully, Celtics are able to close it out at home with their fans, their home crowd, ready to go and cheering for this Celtics team to move on. But thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode here on Celtics Digest. We broke down where Al Horford was absolutely fantastic, something the NBA has never seen before, where he got himself into some record stat breaking stuff here tonight in Orlando, bringing out that vintage Superman play. But thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode. Let us know your thoughts down below in the comments. Hit the subscribe button, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great rest of your night, and go Boston Celtics.